Hey guys, welcome to my YouTube channel. If you're new here, please subscribe. Today I'll be sharing a story that's very dear to my heart. I feel like my story will encourage everybody out there that has anxiety to be strong and know that you will get through it no matter what. My mom was in the living room and I was pacing back and forth. I was like panicking, and I told her, I said, "Mom, I was like, I feel like I'm gonna die." And she goes, "Calm down, you're not dying, you're not gonna die, you're fine." So I'm like, okay. And that day she took me to the hospital. I got to the hospital, and since I was hyperventilating because I was having an anxiety attack, they thought that I had asthma. And if you have asthma or if you don't have asthma, they give you a nebulizer. And a nebulizer is a machine that you use a saline solution that you put in like a little cup, and then there's like a mask. It's kind of like oxygen, like the oxygen mask, but it's not that. It's just the saline solution is just it's vaporizing your lungs so that it could open up your chest and you could breathe better. And after I realized that I didn't have asthma, I was like, yo, I'm still panicking, there's something wrong. So after a while, the anxiety attacks left for a while, and it wasn't until I got to high school where things started to get rough for me. And my high school years were my breaking point of everything. I felt like I was drowning, suffocating, and I just don't know how to describe it. And it was like the ocean was anxiety, and I was just underwater, I can't even explain it. I will get into detail. Freshman year wasn't so bad, actually. Freshman year, I had a lot of good moments. It was fun. Freshman year was fun. It was sophomore year, end of 9th grade into sophomore year, I realized that I was having panic attacks. Here and there, I was having panic attacks. And I was like, what's going on with me? There's like a problem. There was a lot going on in my home, and maybe that was the cause of my anxiety during that time. So I decided that I was going to do cheer, and cheer really helped because I didn't have to go home after school. I was just cheering. I was being happy, and it made me happy that I could do something that I really love to do. And that's what got me through my sophomore year. But if I did not do cheer, I do not feel like I would be able to get through some of the things that I went through. My home was not the most pleasant place to go to after school. When I got home after school, the days that I didn't have practice, I would either go somewhere else, go out with my friends, make plans. I would do everything in my will to avoid going home. And I know that's so bad, but my home was not the best place for me to be at that time. And this is before I moved. So before I moved here, there was a lot going on in my old house. A lot. We were in the process of moving. Everything was just going downhill, and there was a lot of arguments, and I feel like it triggered my anxiety. But junior year, I decided for some reason that I wasn't gonna do cheer anymore. I did try out for cheer because I had to try out again, and when I did, I made the team again, and 2 weeks later I decided that I quit. I don't really know why I quit, but I did quit. And it was because I enjoyed going home after school. So from sophomore to junior year, I used to not want to go home till getting on the 2:30 bus or right after school and dipping and going home. So that was a big change for me, and I like being home because my house got more peaceful. It was more peaceful, and I just felt more comfortable in my home. Since the problem was no longer at home, the problem started in school. There was a lot of problems in school with me. I was a hothead. I am still a hothead. During my junior year, there was a lot going on. There was a lot being said about me that I really didn't care about, but at a point, it started to get to me that certain people would lie. And it was just hurtful because I go through things and it was adding stress onto me. And I felt as if, people really don't know what you go through. People don't care what you go through. So it's really not their job to spare your feelings. And I understood that. After a while, it continued and continued and continued. And it was just so overbearing. I started having panic attacks more frequently. When I say more frequently, before I was having panic attacks, like maybe like 3 times a week. It went from 3 times a week to at least once a day. So I was having once every day, so 7 a week. I realized this, and I was just like, okay, like, you gotta focus on the positive. But at times it was so hard for me to get up in the morning. It was so hard for me to go to school. I didn't want to go to school. I just felt like I was alone, and I was alone for a period of time. And I did have friends. They made me laugh all the time. It was great. My friends are really funny. I wish you could meet them. But that really got me through. Smiles really gets you through. Like, smiling and trying to be happy really gets you through. But when I realized that I was trying to be happy and not really happy on the inside, I was just faking the happiness, it really brought me down into a depression. And the depression I went through wasn't a major depression, but it was a depression, and any type of depression is something you should worry about. I did have thoughts of not being here anymore. I did have thoughts of, I don't want to be here. If I'm not here, nobody would be having any problems. And like, it really hurt me that at the time, I only had one best friend. Her name is Kim. She's always been there for me. She's the only one that understands because she went through anxiety also. But she was there, but it feels like I needed more. I needed a push to get me through what I was going through. And anxiety, people seem to think of anxiety as something that's not so major. And that's the problem with society today, is that they think that anxiety is just anxiety. Everybody, at least once in their life, goes through anxiety, and I understand that. But when it's a constant thing, when it starts to take over your life, when you're scared to go outside, when you're scared to go to school, when you don't even want to stay home, when nothing makes you happy, when everything you do gives you an attack, it's just overbearing, and that adds stress to your body. I got depression because I had anxiety, and people don't realize that having anxiety can give you depression. That's why those two go together, because once you're overwhelmed, once it's overbearing for you, it's so stressful. And when people don't understand what you're going through, it's just completely hard for you to even imagine getting better. And I'm speaking for myself. I'm sure there's people out there that feel the way that I feel, but I did not want to be on medication for my anxiety. I wanted to feel normal with myself without having to take medication to feel normal. And the thing about that is that you're gonna need medication at the start of your treatment. And I will talk about that more towards the end of the video. But this is how I decided that I was gonna get help. It was senior year, and around prom season, I was so stressed. Prom dress, date, money, a lot of money had to be paid. I went to a private school, so everything was just so expensive. And it was just, how can I say it? It was like a lot on my family, and it was a lot on me, because I feel like I'm the reason why they were stressed, because a lot of money was being spent, and the money was being spent on me. So it felt like I was the one that was causing these issues, which put a really hard strain on my heart. And I just started having anxiety on anxiety on anxiety on anxiety on anxiety on. But it was really hard during that time. And I eventually was hospitalized after prom because of my anxiety. I thought I was having a panic. I thought I was having a heart attack, and I was so scared. They called 911. I was in the hospital. I got to the hospital, and they said that it was just, I was just having a panic attack. And my mom was there, and the doctor said, your daughter needs to see a psychiatrist. And my mom is so against psychiatry that she did not want me to see one. And she started yelling at the doctor. She said, why? My daughter doesn't need this. She's not crazy. She's not suicidal. She's not ill. And she turned to me and she asked me, Taylor, do you want to see a psychiatrist? And I said no, because I was scared that she was just gonna black out on me. So then after, she calls my father, who is also more against psychiatry than she is. She calls my father, knowing that I'm having like a panic attack, just right in front of me, calls my father and is like, they're telling your daughter she should see a psychiatrist. So he's like, let me talk to her. So he talks to me on the phone, and he's like, what's wrong with you? What are you telling them that's making them think that you need help? You don't need help. You don't need to see a psychiatrist. You're fine. And I couldn't cry in front of her. I couldn't cry in front of my mother. But it was so sad knowing that they weren't going to try to get me help. And that is the worst feeling ever, that they did not want to help me get myself help. And at the time I was 17, and I was just like, wow, like, what is it gonna take for you to realize that I have an issue? And even though it's not a crazy issue, it can drive me to the point where I do become crazy, and they did not want to help me. So then, after a couple of months, I started working. Before that, I also skipped a lot of my senior, like, celebrations. Like, I didn't go to my senior luncheon. I didn't go to my award ceremony or anything like that. And people think it's because I was working. Well, my friends think it's because I was working, and I was working, but it was really because I had way too much anxiety going on to even go back to school. It was the end of school. These weren't mandatory things that I had to go to, and I was like, you know what? I'd rather just work and whatever. So I got a job, and I started working. I started working 10-hour shifts, 11-hour shifts, any shifts that were up. If somebody gave up their shift, who would take it? me. I would take their shifts because I wanted to go to work. And it was just, it got my mind off of things. Like, it did. So I'm going back to what I did in sophomore year, which was cheer. And I liked working, so I did that until one day, it was a Sunday, I wasn't feeling well. I couldn't eat. I had no appetite, and I knew I was having an anxiety attack, but I couldn't eat, and it was so hot that day. I remember taking the train to work, and while I was on the train, I went on WebMD. Don't do that. I went on WebMD and I typed in, I'm, I don't, I don't have an appetite. My heart is racing, and my arm is weird. My arm felt weird, and it said, call 911. You're having a heart attack. So I got to work. I put on my apron because I wear an apron at work. I work at DSW, by the way, and it was like, it was like, my heart starts racing more because now I think I'm having a heart attack. I go to my manager and I'm like, I don't want to scare you, but I don't know what's wrong and I'm panicking. She goes, go in the break room, sit down. One of my coworkers comes in the room with me. She's trying to make me feel better. I love her so much. She knows who she is. I love her so much. She was so comforting, and she was calming me down. And after a while, I could not calm down. I was just panicking, and that's when I realized that, listen, I told my manager, I said, call the ambulance, please, call the ambulance. She was like, are you sure? I said, please call the ambulance. I have to go to the hospital. The EMT got there, and the paramedics, and they really tried. They took my blood pressure. My blood pressure was fine. They took my pulse. My pulse was 150, which is not good, clearly, because I'm over here panicking. So they brought it down to, they made me breathe for 5 minutes, in and out. They were telling me, like, breathe in, breathe out, breathe in, breathe out. And it was, what was it? Yeah, so after 5 minutes, my heart rate went down to like 100 and 100, like regular, what your heart rate is supposed to be. And he was like, you see, you're just panicking, you're just panicking. So I'm like, yeah, you're right, I'm just panicking. I need to get it together. They take me to the hospital, they took me to Methodist, and after, it was just so, like, hard, because I went to the doctor again, and what did he say? This time both my mom and my dad came, and they said, I need to see a psychiatrist. What did my parents say? Actually, this time they tried to understand. They thought I was having seizures. They were like, no, your daughter's not having seizures. She's having panic attacks, which is something in the brain, a chemical imbalance in the brain. And I'm trying to be so positive about this. He was trying to understand, and he said she needs to see a psychiatrist. And he goes, okay, okay. When we leave, my dad didn't talk really much about me seeing a psychiatrist. He was just like, how do you feel? I said, I feel the same way. I still felt like something was wrong with my body, And then it clicked in my head. I'm 18. I don't need my parents' permission to go get help for what I need help in. So I decided that I was gonna call my insurance and ask them, what psychiatrist takes my insurance? And they gave me a couple, and most of them were like, you gotta wait a month, you gotta wait 2 months. I was like, I can't wait, I need to see one as soon as possible. I went through the list of what they gave me, and I finally found one that was actually pretty close to me. A psychiatrist that he saw me. My thoughts on that psychiatrist: I wouldn't recommend him. I wouldn't. I would not recommend him at all. But this video is getting kind of long, so I'm getting straight to the point. Saw a psychiatrist, and all he didn't listen to my problems. He didn't really help me. He told me to deep breathe, which is what I was doing before. I told him I was doing that before, and he just gave me Zans. He said, you know what, I'm gonna just give you Zans. And he gave me Zans, and it was like 1 milligram, and I was supposed to take 3 times a day. So the thing about Xanax is that the half-life of Xanax is 11 hours. So it takes 11 hours for half of the drug to leave your body. So when I took one, I would go to sleep, it would knock me out, I would go to sleep, and then I would wake up and I'd start feeling anxiety again. So then I would have to take another pill. So I took another pill, and it would happen. It's like a cycle. So it wasn't helping me, because if every time I woke up I had to take another one because I was having anxiety, how many was I taking a day? I was having 5-6 panic attacks a day. I was taking 5-6 Xanax, which is not good for you, because Xanax could get very dependable. You will get addicted to it. And I do not feel like I was addicted to Xans. I am not addicted to Xans. I'm no longer on Xans. But at times, I have to be honest, I would take 4 pills, shove it in my mouth, and just go on with my day, because why not? It made me high. It got me high. Well, the feeling is high. It got me feeling high for the rest of the day, and I didn't have to take anymore. The thing about that is you have to worry about overdosing, and since the half-life is so short, you're gonna keep needing more and more and more. So after I finished my bottle of Xans, I decided I'm gonna search for a new psychiatrist. This psychiatrist, second's the charm, because I went and they saw me as soon as possible, and I actually didn't see a psychiatrist. I saw a psychiatrist nurse practitioner, which is like they could still prescribe you medication. Like it's like a doctor, just you're not a MD. So I saw him. He talked me through a lot of things, tried to get to the root of the problem. But since I didn't know why I was having anxiety, he referred me, in the same office, to see a psychotherapist. And I will be seeing a psychotherapist about next week. And he knew his medication very well. He said that my other psychiatrist should not have given me Xans because of the fact that I was having 5-6 panic attacks a day. I was having 5-6 panic attacks a day. Not like during the week I would have one and just pop one and whatever. I was having 5-6 panic attacks a day. It was really hard for him to tell me that, you need psychotherapy, you need to get to the root of the problem, but you still need to be on medication. And as I said before, medication was not on my mind. I did not want to do the whole medication thing. But I'll tell you what I'm taking now as I end this video. Right now, I'm on 25 milligrams of Zoloft. Zoloft is an antidepressant, but it also helps with anxiety. So I will probably be on that long term because it's gonna help me calm down, like a general thing. So I take that once every day. I forgot to take it, That's what I have to remember to do. I took it. I didn't take it. I took it. But yeah. The second thing he prescribed me is so much better than Xans. If your psychiatrist tries to give you Xans and you're having 5-6 panic attacks a day, tell him no. Tell him to give you Klonopin. Klonopin is so good. Like, I'm telling you about drugs. Klonopin has a half-life of 40 hours compared to the 11 hours that I had before. Okay, so 40 hours, that's at least 2 days. So for half of the drug of Klonopin to leave my system, it would take at least 2 days, which really helps because since it stays in your system so long, your panic attacks, when I take one, I'm supposed to take one 3 times a day. I take one for 2 days and I won't have a panic attack. That's just me. That's just my body. You know, everybody's anxiety is different. But for me, Klonopin, I take one and it will last 2 days, and then I'll take another one. And that is better because you will not get dependent on that drug. That drug will not cause addiction since you're not taking it all the time if you feel fine. Now, if you start using it for other purposes, such as feeling high, which it does make you feel high and drowsy and a little sleepy, you will get addicted to it. But since I'm not at risk for addiction, or like I don't have addiction running in my family, I just know better than to just take drugs like that, especially because the label says this is a very dangerous drug, and I'm just like, all right, I'm not gonna kill myself. So yeah, Klonopin has really been helping me. I've been on it for about a week now. It's really helping. I have not had a panic attack in a week. And when I was on Xans, I was still having panic attacks. So that tells you a lot. But I'm trying out the Zoloft. He wants to see me again in 2 weeks, which is another thing. The other psychiatrist, like, he was just like, here's Xans, and like, go on with your life. This doctor wants to see me frequently, wants me to go to psychotherapy, and it's just helping because he cares, and you want a psychiatrist that cares about you and cares about what you want in your life. And since I'm going to college is so much stressful. I needed this now, and if I didn't get it now, it was gonna be so bad for me. Like, you don't even understand. But I have never been I have never been fully happy until now, and I'm going on with my life and I'm growing. There's so much growth. I want to make a video about my growth because there's a lot of things that has changed in the last 2 months that I really want to talk about, but I can't because this video is getting 30 minutes long. So my advice to anybody that has anxiety is to not let anybody stop you from getting the treatment that you need. Not your parents, not your friends, nobody. If you need treatment, then you need treatment. You have to get the treatment. And my other advice to you is when you search for a psychiatrist, you search. You do your research, because some of these psychiatrists only want you for your money, and they will prescribe you drugs just because, not telling you why, not explaining. My psychiatrist now explained to me everything, what the drug was gonna do to me, what I needed to do, when I needed to do, like, drink it, when I need to, like, it's so important that you do what you have to do that makes you happy. You have to take the initiative to be the best you can be. I was not at my best, and I'm probably not at my greatest right now, but I hope that in the future I will be the best that I can be, and I hope that I will get through this. I hope I will pass my anxiety. I hope that everything in my life is blessed. I hope that everybody that's watching this video that has anxiety, that doesn't have anxiety, even if you don't, live your best life. Be great. Do what you want to do. Don't let anybody stop you from being you, from doing what you want to do. I just want to say thank you for watching this video, and I hope that I helped a lot of people out there, because I know there's a lot of people struggling with anxiety. I hope I helped you guys. I hope that you guys have a wonderful day, and please subscribe to my channel because I am new, and I love you guys all.